5 favorite books of the year. We're here. We're going to talk about them. So, hello, my name is Emily and this is my channel Books for Life. And we are here to discuss, in case you missed my announcement, my 5 favorite books of 2019. Woo! I'm excited. I hope you're excited. This was not a difficult list to put together. I knew which ones I wanted on my list. I think 3 and 4 were the hardest to figure out, but I knew 1, 2, and 5 right off the bat. So let's get started. My 5th favorite book of the year was Educated by Tara Westover. I loved this. I read this last February, so if you want to know my more in-depth thoughts, check out my February wrap-up of 2019. I just loved this. I was blown away by Tara's story and by everything that she went through and about her family and just everything that she was able to accomplish even with her circumstances. It just gave me all of the feels. I've discovered that I really enjoy memoirs. I've read a couple different memoirs now and I love them. And I ended up doing a lot more research into Tara Westover. I ended up watching a ton of her different interviews online and a couple different things, and I really was blown away by Tara Westover's story. And if you haven't read it, you definitely want to check it out. My 4th book was Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I loved this book. You're gonna get that for every single one. I loved all of these books. So I gave this one 5 out of 5 as well, and it was so beautifully written. I fell in love with Daughter Smoke and Bone the year before. That made my top 5 list for YA books in 2018. And I fell in love with this one too. I wasn't as in love with the characters as I was in Daughter Smoke and Bone, but Laini Taylor has such a way with words, and I felt for these characters, and I felt when I ended, I was missing part of my family, and I was blown away by this world that she created, and I loved the magic system. I loved the different characters. It was wonderful. So you follow this character, and his name is Laszlo Strange, and he was raised by monks because he was orphaned as a baby. And when he was little, he heard these stories about this place, and he had always wanted to go there, and no one knew if it even truly ever existed, if it was just a myth or what. And then he has to go make a delivery, and he's an avid reader, and he goes to make this delivery and he discovers a library there that is beyond anything he's ever imagined, and he decides that he's going to stay on as a library apprentice. And a couple of years later, lo and behold, the soldiers from that place that he has been obsessed with, and now I can't think of the name and I don't know why, but they show up, and he learns that it did and does exist, and he decides to go. I loved it. It was beautiful. Read it. My 3rd of the year was 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I love 6 of Crows and Crooked Kingdom. I'm actually gonna mesh them together here as one. People could be surprised that it's only number 3, but I really enjoyed this. You have a band of misfits and they need to break into the ice court. You're following them. Their banter is great. Their relationship is great. Their camaraderie is great. I loved all of that. I love the high stakes that they had here. I loved Crooked Kingdom even more, I think, than 6 of Crows, but they're both fantastic. Leigh Bardugo knocked it out of the park with that one. I liked that way more than the Shadow and Bone series. So if you read that and that wasn't for you, then definitely still pick up 6 of Crows because it's worth it. My number 2 is Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This was amazing. This is a middle grade book that I will read again and again and again. I was I'll pick this up because it was on my Libby app. It's fine. I'll pick it up. And I loved it. I could not believe how much I loved this world. I would go live in this world if I could. I'd pack up my kid, pack up my fiance, and be we're gonna go live here. Come on. And I just loved it. I loved Morgan Crow's character. So she is a cursed child. And so she's always been told that the certain date she will die. And because she is a cursed child, anything that's bad happens, they blame her. So her dad has to go pay money to these people because they're like, oh, well, she looked at me and I failed the spelling bee, so it's her fault. So he has to pay them, and because she looked at people. It's so sad that they would treat kids this way, but they do. And so Morgan Crow is a cursed child. And so right before she is going to die, somebody swoops in and takes her away, and she ends up living in this different world. And it's beautiful. The characters are funny. You watch them grow. You fall in love with their friendship. It was a perfect middle grade book. I cannot wait for the third to come out. It is definitely one I will read again and again. If you are a Harry Potter fan, I'd say you probably would love this. Like, I loved it. And my number one book of the year goes to... pause for suspense. The Diviners by Libba Bray. I love this book. I am currently reading the fourth book right now, and oh my god, it's so good. So between July and August, I knocked out all three of these books, and these are not short books. They are chunky. They're like between, I think, like 15 and 22 hours long. And I binged them. I love them so much. It has everything I want in a series. It's historical, it's fantastical, it's terrifying. You have a great group of friends. You have magic. It's so good. Like, I cannot get over how much I love this book. And January Lavoie is like the best narrator I have ever heard. There are so many different main characters. Like the band of friends that we follow, there's like 7 of them, and she's able to consistently use a different voice for each of them. And then you have tons of side characters, and she doesn't mess it up at all. She has different accents, she has different genders, and she's able to keep them all straight, and it is amazing and fantastic. And you would think that there are 15 different people narrating this book, but there's not. There's just one. January Lavoie knocks this out of the park. And actually, I noticed that Alma's last name is Lavoie. Is that like a nod to January Lavoie? Did Libba Bray appreciate her narration skills that much that they added Alma Lavoie to her? I just thought that was really cool. I have no idea if it just was a happy coincidence or if it was like a thank you so much, January Lavoie, for making my books amazing. Because they are. But The Diviners, by far the best book that I read in 2019. Well, all of them. Like, I love them all so much. So if you haven't listened to them, don't read them. Listen to them, because the narration was phenomenal. So those are my 5 top books of the year. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I had so much fun like sitting down and figuring this out. If you enjoyed any of these books too, let me know in the comments down below. What was your number 1 book of 2019? I'd love to hear from you. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to hit subscribe. I'll be back with a bookish video soon. As always, keep reading.